just heard Boz Skaggs with Radiator 110 here on 88.1 FM WVYC. And good afternoon to everybody listening. This is the voice of your college. You are with me, Keelan Tollinger, in the studio for the next full hour here at 3 o'clock. And it's a busy hour because I have a guest with me for the first time this semester. Go on and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, it's Bobby Furda. I am back on the air with my friend Keelan Tollinger as a special guest star this hour. Keelan, thanks for having me back.
Hey, no problem.
It's great to be here.
No problem. So, I basically wanted to bring you in and you can come back and get reacquainted with the new radio station, kind of. I mean, you noticed there's a new soundboard and everything.
Yeah, there's new equipment. It's nice.
Yeah, and I want to first catch up with what you've been up to during the semester and stuff, because it's been already 2.5 months.
Yeah, we're already in November.
Yeah, so it's flying by fast. What have you been up to?
A lot, actually. The biggest thing I've been up to is I've been promoted to the president of the YCP Philosophy Club.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What does that entail?
Well, I'm basically in charge of everything. I have to schedule the meetings. I have to run everything. I have to meet with our academic advisor, And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I get to meet, new people, but at the same time, it's very stressful because I came into it having no prior experience running a student organization, and the previous president didn't really give me much of a heads up. He just said, "Okay, you're the president now." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Now what?"
Yeah.
But it's been fun. So I did that, and I think the most fun I've had this semester is a couple weeks ago for Halloween. I did the Psychology Club Haunted House in Life Sciences.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I volunteered for that, and that was a lot of fun.
What was that the ghost hunting thing, or was it was supposed to creep you out or drive you to the edge or something like that? What was it advertised to do again?
It was advertised as, well, the theme of it was the dark side of human behavior.
Oh, yeah, okay. So not drive you insane, just sort of, I guess, be sort of spooky.
Just to spook you out, just a bunch of jump scares. And there were different rooms for different themes. There was a room full of clowns, which I was in. There was a room full of, I know, a lot of people had that reaction. There was a room full of escaped mental patients. So it was fun. It was just kind of in your face, this haunted houses, and it was fun.
Gotcha. And what about your classes for next semester? I mean, we've all scheduled them at this point, so what are you looking at in the future?
Well, right now I'm signed up to take 3 philosophy elective courses, and 2 of them are 300 level, so, not looking forward to that. It's going to be difficult, but...
You're going to learn a lot, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of work.
I am going to learn a lot, yeah. And I'm also taking document design, which is a professional writing elective, which you recommended.
Yeah,
so looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically what I'm focusing on right now, trying to meet the requirements for my major and my minor. So filling up those electives for philosophy and professional writing.
Gotcha. And as for me, I mean, nothing's really new with me, I guess. I mean, I've been sort of coming into this station every week, and nothing's really changed. I'm in a state of stability. But as far as next semester goes, I'm gonna be doing my senior seminar, and it's already sort of freaked me out that the professor of that class has already emailed the people that are going to be there and saying okay, we gotta meet and talk about how busy this semester is gonna be, and that is when it's gonna be a bad sign of things to come. But we'll get through it. We've done it. I mean, basically 4 years now. Well, almost 4 years. I mean,
almost 4 years, right?
Middle of 3 years. So yeah, we've been doing this for a long time, and I'm sure we can handle it.
Man, where'd the time go?
It's pretty crazy because I mean, we were doing this show for 2 years, and now this is it's gonna be my 3rd year doing this, and I can't even. I've lost count of all the shows that I've personally done and what you've done with me.
Yeah, I haven't counted. It would just take too long.
And basically, it's almost coming to a close already, which is kind of a surreal feeling.
It is. I mean, I still have longer to go. My plan is to graduate in December of next year, so I still have 2 more semesters to go.
Okay.
So, yeah, it seems closer to the end for you, but I still have I still have a little way to go, and I'm feeling like it should get easier as it goes along because I should be used to it. But I just know it's going to get harder and harder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I thought even I would be sort of coasting towards the finish line with 4 classes a semester. This is my senior year I'm talking about, but still, it's been a lot. As far as like the station copywriting director goes and being a writing center tutor. Do you have any interest in being a writing center tutor, by the way? Because
I've given that some thought. But again, like I said, I only have 2 semesters, and I'm going to be graduating in the middle of the academic year. So it really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense because they would have to hire new tutors in the middle of the semester or the middle of the year. So
yeah. Well, I know we were sort of like debating like what do you want to do, either document design or teaching and tutoring writing, and they're both really good classes.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as like stuff that you can do in your future career, document design with all the stuff you're going to be covering about like documents and publications and companies and stuff like that, and what's aesthetically appealing. Like, because you're going to learn stuff like this doesn't look right, the color tone and stuff like that. And there's very nitpicky stuff about like what colors you should use so that it comes out on this type of printer, on this sort of paper. I mean, it is sort of boring.
Yeah.
but yeah, I found it a pretty useful class, and hopefully you enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to find it useful because right now I'm taking communication and professional cultures, and we're doing a group project with a white paper, so a lot of that plays into it, document design and all that.
Yeah. Alrighty. So we are about 7 minutes into our hour already. We've got some topics to get into between the two of us. But Bobby's music is coming up next, so we're going to get into that really quick. This is from One Republic. I think the title is Connection, right? Yeah. All right. So I will be right back with Bobby here on 88.1 FM WVYC. Stay tuned.
Enjoy.
Welcome back to 88.1 FM WVYC, the voice of your college. That was One Republic with Connection, one of Bobby's picks for this hour.
Yep.
And we've got a busy list of topics to get into through this hour. So we're going to first cover the election and the results of that. But we also have stuff with a man named Voiceover Pete, an Avengers movie series checkup, and The Walking Dead, and a little bit about like predictive technology and artificial intelligence, because we've gone back and forth about that topic before.
Right.
So yeah, let's jump right into it. So did you watch any of the like election results on the news segments on Tuesday night, or did you just wake up with the world changed?
Well, I woke up with the world changed. Unfortunately, I was busy that night and I had work to do, so I couldn't stay and watch the coverage on TV, but I did see the results the next morning.
Yeah, it was pretty exceptional, because I mean, I thought I was just sort of like watching for about 2 hours or so, and I was sort of witness to this steady pickup of Democrats flipping over Republican seats. And I mean, they were constantly giving the statistics like, okay, Democrats need 20 seats from Republicans to control the House, and then it slowly dipped into 15. And then like 10 and 8 and stuff like that. And they were still having like an advantage, like a live count in like 20 other segments. So like they were pulling off a pretty good reversal. And once it was declared they won the House, I mean, the Republicans got the Senate.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like there's a total sweep of control. And I don't know what you think, because I imagine that now there is so much like opposition in terms of like who's like calling the shots in our government, that, I mean, we're both not huge fans of President Trump, but I mean, now we can at least agree that he's not going to be able to do anything with like a Democratic House controlling everything.
Right. I've never been a fan of President Trump. I've gone on record to show that, even on the show. But
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I will agree that with the Democrat control of the House, Trump's actions will be limited. For instance, the wall that he called for in his campaign, that was well, first of all, that was never going to happen. That was just something he said to get support.
Yeah.
But now, even if he still wanted to, there's no way that's ever going to happen.
Nope. Yeah, I can't think of any other things. I mean, people are saying like, okay, this is going to be grounds for impeachment maybe, but no, because the Republicans like still control the Senate, so I don't see that happening. Yeah, that's
mean,
not gonna happen.
it's still a possibility, but it's very faint. It's more like a dream at this point. I mean, it's always been there since he was inaugurated. That
Mhm.
there were several campaigns to impeach Trump. It possibly could happen, but I don't foresee it happening.
Yeah. And the thing that I'm sort of curious about is that with the probably like lack of progress that this current like 2-year term until the next elections, like the next midterm elections are going to be, what is President Trump going to do with himself now that there's going to be so much opposition against him? And I can guarantee you that part of his campaign to get reelected in 4 years' time is going to be, look what the Democrats did in office. Nothing. And I'm actually anticipating sort of like another reversal over to the Republicans because of that. That like the Democrats get most of the blame.
Well, I think that's part of his strategy. Yeah,
You think so?
I think so. It's very easy to blame someone else and say, well, look what they did or look what they didn't do. You want someone that's going to do that? Fine. I'm going to be that person that does that. And I think that's one of his strategies he used during his election campaign. And
Good point.
so, yeah, I don't know how much is going to be accomplished during this period, like either from the House or even from Trump himself.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, I think mentioned at one point during the show, I think it was maybe like, yeah, it was like the Tuesday, like the Friday before, 2 Fridays before Election Day, and I was preparing my notes for my show, and then in walks a guy that's looking for the station manager, and he knocked on the window and got me out. It's like, hi, I'm George Scott. I'm running for Congress. And it was just like, okay, that's cool. I maybe shook hands with the future congressman. I don't think he won. It was a very narrow margin. But I think Scott Wagner is the Republican candidate that actually pulled off the victory in this district. And the state recently sort of like changed the district maps and stuff like that. I don't know if you've seen any news coverage of like trying to go against gerrymandering and stuff like that.
I've seen some of it. I've mostly seen stuff online, like, okay, take a look at your district, see who's
It's changed and stuff
control-
like
yeah.
that. Yeah. So I mean, this is a big election as far as will there be a balance, like a shift in the balance of power again. But it didn't happen this time. It was very close, only 2 points, when I think in previous terms, Scott Wagner's been reelected now for like 3 or 4. This is going to be his 4th term. And he won those by a margin of like 10 to 20%. This is only by 2%. So it was a pretty interesting campaign, I guess. And it was certainly a surprise, at least for me, to have this guy come in just like, oh, I'm looking for the station manager. And he wrote a note and slipped under the door. And I think he went and met some of the students like downstairs in Spartsden in the student lounge before he had to go.
Yeah, I heard about that.
But did you vote, though? I forgot to ask.
I did vote. I sent in my absentee ballot a couple weeks before Election Day. So,
Nice.
yeah, I made sure about that.
So you were well prepared.
Absolutely.
I didn't request it fast enough, so I can't complain either way about the turnout. I mean, I wasn't gonna admit it to George Scott. I can't vote for you. You seem like a nice guy. You've got a very firm handshake, but I'm sorry, pal. Go downstairs, maybe find some people to like replace my vote. But
if you look at how close the election was, that just shows you how important and how powerful it is to vote.
The turnout was pretty impressive. I think they had a lot more. I mean, it wasn't like a crazy turnout, but it was a lot more than, say, the Clinton-Trump election, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Because there were all sorts of services like around the internet and companies reminding you, and Uber and Lyft ride sharing.
Yeah, everywhere you went, there were reminders. Make sure you vote.
And part of me is like, okay, maybe that's to speak to the millennials and the likely Democrats in the crowd using these services to get that reminder in. So maybe it was, I would call it just a little bit biased. I don't know what you think, but... Well,
I think, in the last presidential election, there were a lot of people who didn't vote or just threw their votes away by writing in, writing in Harambe.
Oh, you just reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Trying to vote
Yeah, that was
for...
a thing. I think it was 11,000 or 11.
Okay,
I can't remember
that's
the
not
exact
much.
number.
Yeah, not
But-
much.
But I remember asking people, and they said, well, I just didn't care. Like, I didn't really agree with either candidate, or I just didn't have any stake in
Mhm.
it. Or what was my vote really matter? Well, I personally think your voice does matter, and
Yeah.
I really do feel it is important to go out and vote, which is one of the reasons why I was, surprised, and I kind of agreed with this huge campaign to get people to vote. And I think
Yeah.
it was effective.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, we've got some change. I mean, it's not going to be a sweeping change the other way from like the direction we've gone the past 2 years. It's going to be basically a stalemate, and we'll see what comes out of that. If it's just Trump perhaps succeeding with the notion that the Democrats are doing nothing and it's time to vote them out of office. But hey, we'll see. And I want to really quick touch on the, I guess, the firing or the resigning of Jeff Sessions. I mean, I think you've heard of that too.
I have heard of that, yeah.
And I can't really understand like the implications of what's going to happen to the Robert Mueller trial. Because, I mean, Sessions, for instance, like recused himself from being part of that investigation or overseeing it. And now that he's gone and there's I don't even know his name.
I can't remember his name
This new
either.
guy that's coming in. And I'm not sure if he's going to mess with the investigation or not. I mean, it is done, I think. And they just have to announce their findings. And in the coming days, I'm sure that'll be a newsworthy topic. But, I mean, maybe you've heard it from me that I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
I have heard that from you. I don't really know what we're going to expect from this or what we can expect from this. For all we know, he could have come up with nothing, or it could lead
That's what I'd expect.
to impeachment. Like I said, even if there's 1 in a billion chance, there's still a chance of it. I'm not saying that will happen. In all likelihood, it probably won't. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see. What do you think? That wraps it up for this topic?
I think so.
Alrighty, so we're going to move on to the first weather check of the hour here at York College of Pennsylvania. So we are almost reaching the halfway point of the hour already. We're going to go into some more music. Coming up next is from Phil Collins. This is Something Happened on the Way to Heaven. You're listening to WVYC with me, Keelan Tollinger, and him, Bobby Furta, and we will be right back. Welcome back to 88.1 FM WVYC, the voice of York College. That was Phil Collins with Something Happened on the Way to Heaven here on 88.1 FM. So, we're going to move right along to the second topic of the afternoon.
Yep.
And it's kind of a weird one. I mean, I'll be the first to admit it that it's not really of big importance, but it still sort of made me laugh all the same, I guess. So, I've covered like Robbie Rotten. I think you've heard on the show before. This guy that's like, okay, he's a child show actor. He's kind of old. He's up there in age, but he has a big following on the internet and doesn't really fully understand it, but he enjoys it and he still wants to make people laugh. So he played along with it, like rest his soul. And now we've got another person sort of jumping on that. So this is a man named VoiceOver Pete. And it's a little strange. So what people on the internet started doing at one point was sort of like taking video games, for instance, and sort of like hiring this guy. He's from a service, like a website called Fiverr.com. That's with 2 R's. Fiverr, like a pirate, I guess.
Fiverr.
Exactly. And it's sort of like a site where you hire people to like teach you how to knit, maybe like cook, maybe get coached in a sport or something. It's like carried out over the internet where if you have like a pair of webcams or something like that, you can get like live lessons taught to you and stuff like that. And what VoiceOver Pete is that he's sort of like a guy, he only has like a giant green screen. He's living in his house, he's doing his thing, but he hires people at about like $50 a clip to read a script, any script that somebody wants him to say. And he's got his suit and his tie, and he looks all formal, and like you would expect him to be sort of like for maybe like product advertisements, like mom and pop pizza stores somewhere in York City that's like only has a budget of like $100 and need to get a commercial out there. So I mean he'll do his thing and he'll do his green screen. But people started to hire him to like the I don't know how best to explain this without like mentioning illegal activity. 'Cause, like the whole thing is like this person needs your help. All he needs is your credit card number and the 3 digits on the back and the expiration month and the date. So like, oh, the Hulk needs to be really strong to defeat Thanos. All he needs is your credit card number and the 3 the 3 digits. It's completely stupid. And what he was doing is that he got hundreds of these requests. I mean, like hundreds and dozens, and he was at $50 a pop for these clips. He was planning to make about $12,500 before the close of this year, and he's just some guy that's just using his like broadcasting talent of like yesteryear to make videos in the modern day. And he's been picked up by this internet community and just like been told to do these hundreds and hundreds of these credit card scams. So then Fiverr banned him. That's the whole thing about this, is that like they stepped in. And it wasn't so much like his popularity; it was the fact that he was. I mean, they're completely fake.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
Nobody should be taking them seriously. But Fiverr wasn't going to take that chance. They weren't going to make any cuts from hosting this guy that's going to make $12,000 or more in a matter of weeks. So yeah, they kicked him out. VoiceOver Pete now has to find a new place to receive requests and basically get paid. So that's Patreon. That's the new service, and you've heard of that, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so it's good for a bunch of independent creators who have something quality and reliable and need to get it out to people. So that's what he's doing now. And in his video that he posted to YouTube with like the explanation of the situation, he actually has a son who's, I guess, in his 30s or something, and introduced himself saying like, I manage my father's account, like this is my dad. I'm setting up the whole VoiceOver Pete thing with him. I guess he does like the editing and stuff. Dad just basically speaks in his tie and stuff like that. And they're sort of like teaming up to sort of like do Twitch streaming. You've heard of that too, where
I've done Twitch streaming,
like live streaming video games. I don't know, it's just an interesting story that I sort of picked up on. I feel bad for him because I mean I think he deserves to make money. I mean it's the dumbest thing. It is the dumbest way that the internet is sort of like controlling him. I don't know if it's sad to you, like he has to stoop to this level, but what do you think?
Well, I mean, at the same time, I can see why he was banned. Because it basically is illegal. It's just like those spam emails you get. The last Black Panda is going extinct. All it needs is your credit card. Or Pennywise the Clown is looking for a new home. He needs your credit card number and your bank account. But yeah, I've seen those. They're ridiculous, and I laugh at them because they're just so ridiculous. And that's kind of what I see in this situation. I mean, yeah, it's illegal, but if you put like some kind of disclaimer, this is not real, please don't do this.
That ruins the joke, though.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, but at the same time, you can just sit back and go, okay, yeah, this is fine. You can still get a laugh out of it.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going to become of this father-son partnership. I mean, I really don't have the time to keep like watching all the different meme videos that he's building, and even tune into these live streams. But I feel for the guy personally, because I mean he's just like, he's in his 60s. I mean he's just like a guy that's retired from the broadcasting industry, wants to make commercials for people. I mean if you look him up on YouTube or something, I mean he has a pretty decent grasp of talent. You could probably attest to that too because you've seen him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. And I've seen people with this talent, who specialize in doing voiceovers. Like, have you ever heard of what's his name, John Bailey?
Haven't.
He does the voice of the Honest trailers for the Screen Junkies YouTube channel.
think I've heard of the channel, but I've never really watched any of its content.
All right.
But,
Well, he has
yeah.
an instantly recognizable voice. It's very deep, and he makes everything sound epic. And he gets paid to do that.
Okay. So we
So-
can transform anything into a epic sort of monologue, it's like a cooking recipe, and
Right.
that's the whole joke or something behind it.
Right,
So-
and he also does commercials. Like, I think he did one for hotels. Hotels.com.
Okay.
Or something like
Gotcha.
that. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I see it as. You have a talent and you try and use it however you can.
So yeah, I mean, maybe Pete will get picked up by another company and they'll put him to work for voiceover talent or something like that. Do more commercials. I don't want him to be overworked and become sort of like an old joke.
Well, you said he's retired from broadcasting, right?
I think. I mean, I don't know the full history of this guy. I just know that he sort of plants himself in front of a green screen and just reads whatever people throw at him.
Well, if you think about the history of the internet, especially websites like YouTube, that's how it started. People would just film themselves or whatever and then upload it because it would be easy to share. And then people slowly started realizing they can make a living doing this.
come from
So-
nothing and then build into something. So I think that's a pretty neat outcome.
Yeah, start as a hobby, move to a career.
All right. I think that gets us to about the end of this topic. It's about 3:33, middle of the hour, and I want to ask you, Bobby, to
Yep.
read that hourly PSA that's often on this show.
Yeah.
Back to business.
Back to business. Here we go.
All right, we're gonna move on to another song for the hour. Come back and do about two more topics. Get them out of the way.
Yep.
Coming up next on WVYC, it is Nick Lowe and the Imposters with Tokyo Bay. We will be back in 2 minutes on 88.1 FM. Stay tuned. Welcome back to 88.1 FM, WVYC, the voice of your college. That was Nick Lowe and the Imposters with Tokyo Bay. And we're going to move into a topic that I sort of alluded to. It's Bobby's wheelhouse, these superhero movies. And,
Yeah.
yeah. So, catch me up to speed on what the big deal is with Captain America, I guess, finishing up filming with this upcoming Avengers movie.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so the next Avengers movie, which is Avengers 4, is the final appearance of Captain America, played by Chris Evans.
Okay.
Last month, on October 4th, he tweeted that this would be his last time playing Captain America. He said, officially wrapped on Avengers 4, it was an emotional day to say the least. Playing this role over the last 8 years has been an honor. To everyone in front of the camera, behind the camera, and in the audience, thank you for the memories, eternally grateful. That's from Chris Evans on Twitter.
So does he die? like what? I don't know. What could be? Oh, okay. First of all, what does he actually do? Because
What does Captain America do?
okay, so he has like a shield and all. I don't know if he can fly or anything.
No,
I mean,
he can't.
This is
Okay.
me not versed in superhero stuff at all. So give me a rundown really quick on what exactly he does. How he's gonna stop Thanos.
All right, so brief origin story, very brief. Steve Rogers was he was a kid from Brooklyn who wanted to join the army and fight in World War II. You know, he wanted to serve his country, but he was not physically fit for it until he joined this program where he was a test subject for a new program to introduce super soldiers into the army. He was the first
Okay.
he was the first experiment volunteer, and he basically gained enhanced strength, reflexes, agility. He's basically the perfect soldier, and he was the only one, and he was
Okay.
Captain America.
And he was painted red, white, and blue, and shipped off to fight people, I guess. So.
Yeah, he was he was shipped off to fight the Nazis.
Okay. All right. So
And-
that's his origin story.
Yeah, he was given a uniform that was painted red, white, and blue, and given a shield, which is basically indestructible and also kind of like a frisbee.
I thought it was like a boomerang too, because it always comes back to him, right, or something. Or does he actually have
Well-
to go and retrieve it?
Well, originally he would have to go and retrieve it, but it's built specifically so that it would bounce off walls, and if he angled it right, it would come back to him. But then he installed a device which would allow the shield to come back to him.
Okay. So he's getting with the times as well with technology and stuff.
Yeah, so no,
Gotcha.
Captain America is not super powered like Superman. He's not
Okay.
he can't fly, he's not indestructible, things like that.
So he might die. And they'll have to make a new Captain America. I don't know if you could even replace a guy like that, but perhaps.
Well,
I don't know.
it's hard to say how they're going to end Captain America's saga. It's possible he might die because, well, it's hard to say because the Marvel movies have differed from the storyline in the comics. For instance, in Captain America Civil War, that was when Captain America was supposed to die,
Oh, okay.
but he didn't. And he's still alive now, so whether or not he's going to die, that's still
Okay.
unknown.
Currently, he's just a zombie in the eyes of the writers. But
Well, it's hard to say. I'm not going
see.
to get into that.
we'll see.
But in terms of replacing him, that's been talked about a lot. Now, in the comics, the character of the Winter Soldier and the Falcon, they have both taken up the mantle of Captain America at times. So there's rumors that they might become the next Captain America. But the actor who plays the Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, he said they haven't really discussed it. So I don't know if they're leaning to that. And this is very interesting. This week, there was a rumor that WWE superstar John Cena might be cast as Captain America.
I would actually maybe perhaps pay to see John Cena in the ring with Thanos.
Yeah.
Or something. I have no idea, but
Yeah, for John Cena, I don't think he's going to be the same character, Steve Rogers. There's a rumor he might play a character known as the U.S. agent, who's similar to Captain America. He has a similar costume and he has a similar shield. Now that I would be okay with.
I thought that would be copyright infringement, but I guess not.
It's interesting how they can do that. It's sort of how a new character can take up the mantle while still, paying respect to the original character.
Okay, it makes more sense to people in the know with superhero movies and stuff like that than me.
Yeah,
But-
so think of it as Cap 2.0.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
And then there's another character that I think you mentioned was supposed to maybe die or something, and yet he lived. Who was that again? That was from The Walking Dead?
That's right. So I've mentioned this before. The Walking Dead is my favorite show on TV, and this season, which is season 9, was advertised as the main character, Rick Grimes, his last episodes.
Okay.
And that was the big thing that drove people back to watching the show. And I've looked somewhere that the ratings for last week's episode specifically were the highest they've been in a while. I can't remember how long.
It's been going on for a while.
It has been. Like I said, this is season 9. It started back in 2010, I believe. And I've heard rumors online before the episode aired that it was just a big PR stunt, that they're not going to kill off, Rick Grimes, because how could the show go on without him? But it was an emotional episode. They had several callbacks to previous seasons, and they showed previous characters who had died. And they made it seem like Rick Grimes would have a heroic send-off. But, this is kind of a spoiler alert, at the very last minute it was shown that he was saved and he's still alive.
Okay.
And after the show, it was announced that AMC would be producing and releasing made-for-TV movies that continue the story of Rick Grimes. So basically, they're now doing Walking Dead movies.
Okay, so this actor's career isn't wrapped up yet for this one role. It's just going to go another.
Yeah, Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick Grimes, has said that he is not done with Rick Grimes, that the character is still alive, and he's going to keep playing him in the future.
Gotcha. Well, for fans, that's a good, breath of fresh air and some, stability. So
Yeah.
I imagine they're happy. I mean, I still have literally no idea what you're talking about, but it's interesting that characters can, the actors and the characters they play are sort of synonymous, and you want them to keep appearing. I certainly want, for instance, Kiefer Sutherland to be Jack Bauer forever and ever, but that's not going to be the case. I don't think they're even going to revive the show ever again.
Yeah, it's a shame. But I'm very interested to see where this new angle goes, where they're doing a show and movies at the same time, where they interact with each other and they take place in the same world. Kind of like what Marvel is doing, because Marvel has the movies and the shows at the same time, and they both exist in the same universe. And that's what AMC is doing. They're creating a Walking Dead universe.
Gotcha.
And I'm very interested to see where that goes.
Cool. Alrighty. So we're gonna move on. It's about 3:45, so we're gonna get into the second weather check of the hour right about now. So currently at York College, Pennsylvania, we've only got about 15 minutes left in the show. It's flying by quick. I know you want to get another song in, Bobby, so
Yep.
We're gonna jump into that really quick. Coming up next from the Chainsmokers and Coldplay, it's Something Just Like This, and we will be right back on 88.1 FM WVYC. Stay tuned.
Enjoy.
Welcome back to 88.1 FM WVYC, the voice of York College. That was the Chainsmokers and Coldplay with Something Just Like This. And we're about ready to close out the hour, but we got one more topic to throw in, and it's about artificial intelligence. Probably one of our favorites when we were going back and forth.
Yep.
And this is about training robots, I guess. And you might not, listeners like you at home might not imagine it, but it takes a lot of human effort to really do this sort of stuff. And the way that one company is sort of leading the way in innovation is called Hive. This company. Have you ever heard of it, Hive?
I have, actually, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know too much about it, so...
Okay. So they're sort of responsible for stuff like mimicking CAPTCHAs online. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically like an assurance that you're not some sort of program, a robot, basically. Filling out forms, registering for emails, trying to, like, guess passwords. So the little system is just like, okay, you click this box. Sometimes it makes you type in a word. Computers can't see that, so it needs your human input. It might also ask you to identify pictures of like streetlights, crosswalks, cars, buses, bridges, storefronts, and it actually gives you a pretty like decent array of storefronts and crosswalks and stuff to actually check off. So it knows what it's doing, and once it knows that you've picked out the right photographs and you help out its identification services, then it lets you in. So it's a pretty smart system.
Yeah.
And this is owned by Google. This example that I was bringing up, Hive wants to put a different spin to artificial intelligence and actually pay people to develop it. So this article that I read involves Kevin Guo, and he's probably like one of the heads of Hive. And this company only has 60 people in it, but it employs about 600,000 strangers that aren't tied to the company. And they have this app called Hive Work, which sort of like categorizes images. Like they ask, like, okay, person viewing the screen, is this a car? Is it like, or is it like a bridge? Is it a bird? They'll give you like snippets of a radio interview and ask you to type out what somebody says. And after you do that and it's approved, you get money in return. You get about a couple pennies. And I think it's a pretty interesting concept. Would you maybe download something like that? And
it does sound interesting. I've heard of companies that do this, and I think it is interesting. And I do see that everywhere. Are you a robot?
Mm-hmm.
I am not a robot.
But I think you mentioned to me it doesn't stop the robots. At least with the reCAPTCHA system, because you showed me an instance where they've got a robot to...
I have. I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube. You can go look it up, Robot Passes, I'm Not a Robot Test, where they've programmed robots with visual and arm capabilities to recognize, the test, and they can move the mouse, click the keyboards to pass the test. Although the ones I've seen are not as sophisticated as they are now, where you have to type out a word or choose storefronts or bridges, etc., etc.
Oh, okay.
So, some of them have gotten pretty close. I think one or two of them have actually passed, but the point of the test is to make it more sophisticated and, like you said, to train robots or artificial intelligence.
So we're not really stopping the robot takeover yet, is the thing. We're paying people to sort of delay it, I suppose.
Well, I mean, if I can say something, it is kind of delayed. I mean, it's 2018. We're supposed to have Terminators right now, but
exactly.
thank God we don't have them.
We're still here. We're living. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about if I would like download an app like that, and because I mean, it's built for something like you could do on your way to work, not like driving and typing in these
Well,
pictures and stuff.
well,
Like,
absolutely
no,
not.
no. It's like something you're doing on like the bus or the train, and identifying these photographs for the program to sort of say, oh, that is a bus. Okay, I'll keep note of that. And this technology that they're sort of building could go a long way into like self-driving cars, identifying crosswalks and buses and pedestrian signs and stuff like that. So I see the utility in it.
Right, because they're not all identical.
Yeah. And I mean, you're not going to have instances of like the photographs that you show this machine showing up in everyday life.
Right.
It's just more like recognizing outlines and situations where a self-driving vehicle, for instance, is going to have to react. So I think it's a neat concept, and we'll see if Hive. I mean, they're not even close to the number of like the business behind Google and Amazon,
Yeah.
and all these other technology companies that are leading the way in these AI systems.
And we're certainly not going to have artificial intelligence anytime soon.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be perfect for a long time. But Hive's sort of philosophy is that if you can pay strangers and sort of encourage them to sort of develop that artificial intelligence, they particularly might be able to catch up to Google and Amazon. And for instance, I mean, they use Hive technology for NASCAR races and identifying the logos of the companies on the cars and the racers, so that they can take that data, like how long did the M&M's logo appear throughout this entire, I don't know, 4 or 5 hour race, and say to advertising companies, this is how long the M&M's logo stayed up on the screen, pay us this amount because that's what we're charging for screen time. So it's a pretty ingenious system to me.
I think so.
Yeah. And we'll see how that turns out. We have about 3 minutes. I mean, the hour has really flown by. And is there anything else you want to add to this hour?
Well, just want to say thanks for having me on. It's been great, doing this again. I'd love to be on sometime again in the future.
Perhaps
if you ever
next
need,
semester? Mm-hmm.
sometime if you ever need a special guest or anything, just let me know.
Alrighty, and we will catch up with you again on what you're up to next semester.
Look forward to it.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining me, man.
Yeah.
'Cause it's been great to talk with you again. And yeah, I've got nothing else to really say. Anything else for you?
Well, just a quick reminder, tomorrow is open house, so the dining hall, the Johnson Dining Hall on main campus is going to be closed for lunch. So be sure to go to Sparts or West Campus.
Mm-hmm. I think Johnson Dining Hall reopens at about 4 p.m.
Yep.
You actually remembered that, and I didn't. So thanks for looking out for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of In the Studio on 88.1 FM WVYC. And remember, if you perhaps missed any points of this, you can look up my YouTube channel on called In the Studio with Keelan Tollinger and get an archive of this show and all the other ones you might have missed, all the monologuing, not the music. And yeah, I will see you next time for one more show before Thanksgiving break. And thank you for tuning in. My name is Keelan Tollinger.
And my name is Bobby Ferda.
And thanks for tuning in, everybody. This will end off with Fountains of Wayne, Traffic and Weather. So have a good one, everybody.
Bye, everyone.